The sage archetype is the embodiment of wisdom, insight, and the quest for truth. Think of characters like Gandalf, Dumbledore, Yoda, and Master Roshi. Masters who seem to hold the answers to life's most profound questions. But the sage isn't just an archetype in stories. It exists within each of us. When we reflect deeply, seek understanding, or guide others with wisdom, we are channeling the sage within. Psychology and spirituality reveal that we can even connect with our own future self, a version of us that already holds the wisdom that we seek. Imagine this: time is not linear as we believe. Through practices like meditation or journaling, we can tap into the knowledge of our future self, gaining clarity and direction. This connection mirrors the sage archetype's timeless wisdom, offering us a guiding light in moments of uncertainty. In this video, we will explore the sage archetype in depth, its strengths, its shadow side, and how it shapes not only the stories that we love, but also our journey towards self-discovery. Let's dive into the profound world of the sage, so by the end of this video, you will have an understanding of the advantages and disadvantages of this archetype, and I will bring up examples from pop culture to help drive home the message. So Carl Jung's model of the psyche is divided into three main parts: the conscious mind, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. The conscious mind is where our ego lives. The ego is the center of our conscious awareness, responsible for our sense of identity and our interactions with the outside world. It filters out perceptions, helping us navigate daily life by focusing on what we are aware of at any given moment. The personal unconscious, on the other hand, is where we store forgotten memories, suppressed thoughts, and feelings. Things we are not actively aware of, but can recall or bring to mind when needed. This is also where the shadow resides. The shadow represents the parts of ourselves that we reject or deny, often because they don't align with our self-image or society's expectations. However, understanding and integrating the shadow is essential for personal growth because it holds hidden strengths and insights, and being aware of it can also prevent you from committing the same mistakes over and over again. Lastly, the collective unconscious goes beyond the individual. It is a shared part of the human psyche containing archetypes, universal primal symbols and patterns of behavior that are common across cultures. This is something we all have in common as humans and are born with. It's in the collective unconscious where we find the 12 archetypes. These are patterns of behavior that resonate deeply within all of us. Today we'll focus on the most knowledgeable archetype, the sage. As we see in countless movies, books, and myths, the sage represents the universal desire for understanding universal wisdom to help us overcome obstacles in our life journey. And while the sage's role is inspiring, it also has its shadow side, which we'll explore. Let's dive into what the sage archetype truly represents. The sage archetype has appeared across cultures for centuries, from ancient philosophers to wise elders in myths and legends. In Jungian psychology, the sage embodies the pursuit of knowledge, truth, and enlightenment, often serving as a mentor or guide to others. Unlike the hero who seeks action and conquest, the sage focuses on understanding the world and finding meaning through reflection and insight. This archetype is alive in some of the most beloved characters. Think of Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings, whose wisdom guides the Fellowship through their journey, or Master Yoda from Star Wars, who teaches the Jedi the deeper truths of the Force. These figures remind us that the sage carries a quiet power, offering wisdom that often transforms others, even if they don't act directly themselves. In spiritual traditions, the sage is often compared to figures like King Solomon from the Bible, renowned for his unparalleled wisdom. Solomon's story teaches us that true wisdom isn't just about knowledge. It's about discernment and using that knowledge to make just decisions. The sage archetype challenges us to seek this higher understanding, balancing intellect with insight and compassion. Just like every archetype, the sage has a shadow side, and it often manifests as the elitist. While the sage seeks wisdom to enlighten and guide, the elitist hoards knowledge, using it as a weapon to elevate themselves above others. The elitist thrives on exclusivity, dismissing those they deem less intelligent or less enlightened. This shadow arises from a fear of irrelevance or inadequacy, leading to arrogance and a disconnect from others. In real life, We see this in people who are overly intellectual or condescending. They may dismiss opposing ideas as inferior without truly engaging with them, or belittle others for lacking their level of education or insight. These individuals often isolate themselves, believing that their superior knowledge sets them apart and above everyone else. They can also become overly attached to their identity as a wise person, projecting anything that challenges their worldview. In pop culture, think of characters like Doctor Strange early in his journey, before he embraced the magical side of the universe. His brilliance as a surgeon made him arrogant and dismissive of others, seeing their struggles as beneath him. It wasn't until he faced his own vulnerability that he transformed from an elitist into a true sage, using his wisdom to serve others instead of his own ego. Psychologically, Carl Jung teaches us that the shadow represents the parts of ourselves we suppress. For the sage, the elitist emerges when they reject their innate humility and instead use their knowledge or wisdom to belittle or exclude others. Understanding this shadow reminds us that if we find ourselves dismissing someone's ideas or feeling superior because of our insights, it may reflect an unresolved fear within us, a fear of vulnerability, or acknowledging that we still have much to learn on our own sage's journey. As mentioned, we're going to go over advantages and disadvantages. So let's start with the advantages. There are 4 major advantages to the sage archetype that, if applied in your own life, can help you attain wisdom and knowledge. I will bring up some examples in pop culture to help drive home the message. The first advantage is profound insight. One of the sage's greatest strengths is their ability to see the bigger picture. They possess a depth of understanding that helps them unravel life's complexities. Gandalf's strategic guidance throughout The Lord of the Rings, from his knowledge of Middle-earth's history to his ability to predict outcomes, is a perfect example of this insight. The sage teaches us to take a step back, analyze situations, and seek wisdom in moments of confusion. Think about a time in your life when you faced a difficult decision. Did you pause to consider the broader context, or were you overwhelmed by the immediate concerns? The sage encourages us to cultivate the broader perspective, helping us to make better, more informed choices. The second advantage is guidance and mentorship. The sage excels at guiding others toward their potential. Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender embodies this beautifully. His gentle mentorship of Zuko transforms the young prince's anger and confusion into clarity and purpose. The sage reminds us that sharing our knowledge and experiences can inspire and empower others, allowing others to transform into a better version of themselves. Reflect on a time when someone guided you through a challenge, or when you shared your own experiences to help someone else. Or by tapping into your own wisdom, you've been able to help yourself out. The sage archetype within us encourages these connections, showing that wisdom becomes truly powerful when it's shared. Number 3 is connection to the spiritual. This means tapping into universal wisdom. Sages are often deeply connected to the spiritual realm, seeking truths that transcend the material world. Yoda from Star Wars demonstrates this connection, teaching Luke the importance of inner peace and balance. The sage shows us that spiritual exploration can bring clarity and purpose to our lives. Thinking beyond just pop culture, this is also seen in religions like the Buddha in Buddhism, who emphasized mindfulness and enlightenment as a path to transcend suffering and to uncover universal truths. Have you ever found a sense of calm or guidance in meditation, prayer, or simply reflecting on the meaning of life? The sage reminds us that cultivating a spiritual practice can deepen our understanding and help us navigate life's challenges with grace. For example, moments of silence or introspection can provide clarity during difficult times, helping us connect to our inner wisdom and make decisions from a place of balance and understanding. Number 4 is emotional resilience. The sage's wisdom often allows them to remain calm under pressure. Master Roshi from Dragon Ball exemplifies this trait, staying composed even in the face of chaos. One notable example is during the World Martial Arts Tournament when Goku, as a child, and his friends were pushing their limits. As Jackie Chan, Master Roshi's disguised alter ego demonstrated emotional resilience by deliberately defeating Goku in the finals. He knew that allowing Goku to win too easily and too early in his journey might inflate his ego and hinder his growth. Instead of succumbing to the excitement or pressure of the moment, Roshi stayed grounded and used the opportunity to teach a valuable lesson about humility and the importance of continuous training. This calm and measured approach highlights the sage's ability to guide others without becoming overwhelmed by the situation, ensuring they act in the best interest of those they mentor. Reflect on a time when you faced stress but managed to stay grounded. The sage reminds us that cultivating emotional resilience not only benefits us, but also helps those around us find stability in turbulent times, in addition to teaching us important lessons. By keeping a calm and focused mind, this allows us to come to the best solutions rather than to rush in with impulsivity and then make mistakes based on a rushed decision that you made. We want to make sure that the lessons that we teach others are well thought out. Now let's go over some disadvantages. These are important for us to be aware of so that we don't commit these mistakes when we are on our sage's journey. Number one is overthinking. The sage's constant quest for knowledge can sometimes lead to paralysis through analysis. Doctor Strange from Marvel is a prime example of this. After his hands were irreparably damaged in a car accident, Strange's obsession with perfection and control initially prevented him from fully embracing the mystical arts. He was so fixated on understanding every detail and mastering every spell with precision that he struggled to grasp the deeper intuitive aspects of magic. It wasn't until the Ancient One challenged him to let go of his rigid, analytical mindset that he began to grow. In a pivotal moment, she transported him to the astral plane, forcing him to confront the limits of his understanding. Only when Strange relinquished his need for control and opened himself to possibilities beyond his logic did he unlock his potential. The sage warns us that overthinking can stall progress, and Doctor Strange's journey reminds us that wisdom isn't just about thinking. It's about knowing when to act and trust the process. Similarly, in life, have you ever found yourself stuck in a loop of indecision, seeking the perfect solution but getting nowhere? Just like when we went over in the previous example about emotional resilience and wanting to come to the best thought out solution, when you find yourself overthinking, you're losing that emotional resilience. So you want to make sure you're not overdoing it. The sage encourages us to balance knowledge with action, embracing the unknown to move forward. The second disadvantage is detachment from emotions. The sage's focus on logic and wisdom can sometimes lead to emotional detachment, somewhat transforming these people into emotionless robots. Dumbledore from Harry Potter exemplifies this when his calculated decisions, such as withholding the truth about Harry's connection to Voldemort and the prophecy, unintentionally hurt those he cares about. By keeping Harry in the dark to protect him, Dumbledore created feelings of mistrust and isolation, leaving Harry to grapple with confusion and resentment. The sage teaches us the importance of balancing intellect with empathy, showing that even the wisest choices must consider the emotional well-being of others. Think about a time when you prioritized logic over emotions. Did it strengthen or strain your relationships? The sage reminds us that wisdom must be tempered with compassion to truly serve others. Number three is isolation. The sage's pursuit of knowledge can lead to loneliness. Ra's al Ghul from Batman represents this isolation as his centuries-long quest for power and immortality alienates him from humanity. His detachment from others fuels his belief that only he knows what's best for the world, leading to a lack of meaningful relationships and trust. This isolation ultimately becomes his downfall, as his inability to connect with others blinds him to alternative perspectives and leaves him vulnerable to betrayal. The sage warns us that prioritizing knowledge or control over connection can leave us not only alone, but also disconnected from the very world we seek to influence. Have you ever found yourself withdrawing from others to focus on your goals? The sage teaches us to balance our inner journey with meaningful relationships, ensuring that wisdom doesn't come at the cost of connection. Number four is elitism. The sage's wisdom can sometimes manifest as arrogance, as seen in the Gorosei from One Piece. Despite their vast knowledge and influence, their actions are driven by an unwavering loyalty to Imu, the enigmatic figure they serve, and a deep-seated insecurity about maintaining their grip of power. Their elitism leads them to dismiss the perspectives and needs of the common people, creating policies that benefit the elite while oppressing the working class. This arrogance isolates them in an echo chamber of their own making, perpetuating suffering and rebellion in the world they aim to control. The sage cautions us to remain humble. Throughout history, we see parallels in oligarchies where those in power, believing they know what's best, dismiss the struggles of working class people. This arrogance often leads to inequality, unrest, and eventual collapse. Have you ever dismissed someone's input believing you knew better? The sage reminds us that true wisdom includes the ability to listen and learn from everyone, no matter their background or experience, as well as to let go of this insecurity of losing power and being inadequate. Just like the hero, the sage also embarks on a journey, but their path is less about conquest and more about guiding others and uncovering deeper truths. The sage seeks knowledge not for glory but for understanding, often retreating from the chaos of the world to reflect and gain insight. The sage's journey teaches us that wisdom is earned through patience, reflection, and life's trials. Each challenge, each lesson contributes to a deeper awareness of themselves and the world around them. Unlike the hero who thrives in action, the sage thrives in stillness, gathering the wisdom that others seek. And in the end, the sage becomes a beacon for others, using their insight to illuminate paths that were once obscured. The sage archetype reminds us of the power of wisdom, reflection, and guidance. While the hero may take action to change the world, the sage teaches us how to understand it, seeking knowledge, sharing insights, and guiding others toward deeper truths. So as you reflect on your own life, ask yourself, when was the last time you embraced the sage within you? When did you pause to reflect, seek wisdom in a challenge, or share your insight to help someone else or to help yourself? In a world that values quick answers and instant results, maybe we could all benefit from the sage's patience and depth. However, as you continue your journey of self-discovery, it's essential to explore and integrate other archetypes. For example, the Fool archetype can teach you to embrace risk, remain curious, and find growth in vulnerability. To dive deeper into the Fool archetype and its wisdom, watch this video right here. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos exploring the intersection of psychology, spirituality, and personal growth.